Hello, it's Renee with Reset with Renee. I'm here to do a little reading from a book called Burnout. It's just a short little beginning reading from the intro, but first I want to share why I'm doing that. This Wednesday, March 8th, is International Women's Day 2023, and so I think it's important to sort of commemorate and celebrate that. Part of my personal and professional journey has been feeling burnout. I'm a mother. I used to be married. I'm in a professional role that is about supporting other people. And there have been many times throughout my life where I've been on the struggle bus, emotionally, energetically, and the place that I go, or I used to go, was, okay, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I keep up? Why can't I do this, be this, have this, get this? And I eventually got to a place, and this is what I share with my female clients and students that I used to teach, is you can have it all. That's a phrase that Gen X women heard from our mothers. But my edit to that is you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time. And if you try, and so there's nothing wrong with you, the game is rigged. And so I want fewer women to feel like they're not, they struggle with what I hear on repeat is, I'm not enough, or I'm too much. And if we don't listen to that message, well, actually, that message has been conditioned. So I don't want you to give full credence to it. Listen to it and then listen underneath it to see what's the real root of that. And the real root of that is the conditioning that we get from our culture, in our families, in our schools, in our churches, in our places of work. And so if you're feeling too much and not enough, if you're on the struggle bus with emotions or keeping up, check it out inside. What is the messaging around that? So one of the books that I've read is this one lately, and I thought it was a great read, very helpful, instructive. And the authors talk about human giver syndrome. And so I'm just going to read you an excerpt. And I found it very validating, and I think a lot of people that I know and work with and talk with will find it validating as well. So this is just, like I said, from the introduction. Exhaustion happens when we get stuck in an emotion. And sometimes we get stuck because we can't find our way through. The most difficult feelings, I'm adding that we have, rage, grief. By the way, our society doesn't do well with grief. Despair and helplessness. They may be too treacherous to move through alone. We get lost and need someone else, a loving presence, to help us and find our way. And sometimes we get stuck because we're trapped in a place where we are not free to move through the tunnel of emotion. Many of us are trapped in just this way because of a problem we call, this is what the authors say, human giver syndrome. Next paragraph. Human giver syndrome. In Down Girl, the Logic of Misogyny, philosopher Kate Manne describes a system in which one class of people, the human givers, are expected to offer their time, attention, affection, and bodies willingly, placidly to the other class of people, the other human beings. The implication in these terms is that human beings have a moral obligation to be or express their humanity, while human givers have a moral obligation to give their humanity to the human beings. Guess which one women are? Next paragraph. In day-to-day life, the dynamic is more complicated and subtle. But let's imagine the cartoon version. The human givers are the attentive, loving subordinates to the human beings, and the giver's roles is to give their whole humanity to the beings so that the beings can be their full humanity. Givers are expected to abdicate any resource or power they may happen to acquire, their jobs, their love, their bodies, they belong to the beings. Human givers must, at all times, emphasis added here in italics, be pretty, happy, calm, generous, and attentive to the needs of the others, which means they must never be ugly, angry, upset, ambitious, or attentive to their own needs. Needs, remind me to talk about needs. Okay, givers are not supposed to need anything. If they dare to ask for, or God forbid, demand anything, that's a violation of their role as a giver, and they may be punished. And if a giver doesn't obediently and sweetly hand over whatever a being wants, for that too, the giver may be punished, shamed, or even destroyed. If we had set out to design a system to induce burnout in half the population, we could not have constructed anything more efficient. Next paragraph. Emotional exhaustion happens when we get stuck in an emotion and can't move through the tunnel. In human giver syndrome, the giver isn't allowed to inconvenience anyone with anything so messy as emotions. So givers are trapped in a situation where they are not free to move through the tunnel. They might even be punished for it. Your body, with its instinct for self-preservation, knows on some level that human giver syndrome is slowly killing you. That's why you keep trying mindfulness and green smoothies and self-care and bubble baths. I added that one. I lost my place. Hold on. And green smoothies and self-care, trend after self-care trend. But that instinct for self-preservation is selfish. So your efforts to care for yourself might actually make things worse, activating even more punishment from the world or from yourself, because how dare you? Human giver syndrome is our disease. The book you're reading is our prescription. And on the next page it says, the game is rigged, talking about the patriarchy, which, to be clear, is talking about power structures and domination, is not anti-man. I'm the last one to be anti-man. I love working with men. I love men. So yeah, I think that's really important. Most of the clients that reach out to me are female. They struggle with getting their needs met. They are carrying beliefs, burdens, and wounds that come from their socialization of being females. And here's the thing, every human has a combination of feminine energy and masculine energy. One is not better than the other. They should be equal but different, honoring the differences, honoring the unique strengths inherent to each energy, I think is important for all of us moving forward. And I want to see women better supported. I want to see women releasing their own internalized self-critic, of which they get no relief. And I know men have this too. So I want that for everyone. And I want them to feel empowered to not be the human giver, but to be a human being with all that comes with that. And I want women to live their best truth, their best life from their heart, to use their strengths, to be supported. And I know I'm not alone in this. Obviously, International Women's Day is there for a reason. I follow a lot of people on my professional page, women and men, but some of the women, I so appreciate what they're putting out there and wish that would have been there 10, 20, 30 years ago when I was starting to adult. So the tide is turning, but I do also hear a lot of younger women saying it hasn't turned enough. And so that's a legacy I want to leave behind. I want to see women empowered. And I want them to be in relationships with empowered men who appreciate an empowered woman. And I apologize, I'm speaking in completely heterosexual terms. I want everyone to have healthy relationships. And that means you have to be in your personal power, and you have to be in an environment where your personal power is allowed and encouraged. I want that for all of us. So it is rigged. Patriarchy is real. And let's change it. Who's on board with me? So if you don't know, I have a podcast, the Reset with Renee podcast. It's available on Anchor FM, Spotify, anywhere I guess you might look for a podcast. And I'm doing a series right now on relationships. And so a couple of the episodes I've done recently have been on needs, wounds, dreams, and fears. We all have those as human individuals. And when they're not being met or it's being thwarted, we're gonna be on the struggle bus. That's to be expected. It's predicted. So let's get clear about that, you guys. What are some of the needs that you have? What are some of the dreams that you have? Where are you carrying some woundedness? And what are your fears? And let's get you some support around that. So I hope you enjoyed today's reading. I highly recommend the book, Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. You know anyone who's not stressed? And if you are hungry for more, please reach out to Reset.